Welcome to the session, students. I hope you all can hear me and see the PPT. So myself Anupama from Buttonbird Tutorials. I'm a physics faculty. So now I'm going to give a presentation on the chapter electrostatics. So in this chapter, actually we are combining both your first chapter and second chapter of the second PUC syllabus, that is electrostatic potential and electric charges and fields. Okay. So this is again a very important chapter from the examination point of view. You are likely to get 2 or 3 questions from this chapter. So now I'm going to start my presentation. So coming to the objectives of this session. So first we will discuss the brief synopsis of this chapter. Then we will discuss the critical concepts a little in detail. We'll see the important formulas as well. Then doubts clarification. If you have any doubts, you can get clarified. You can raise your hand and you can put a message in the chat section. Then we will moving on to the question answer, objectives, questions and answers discussion. So the critical concepts. So first of all, your Coulomb's law. So all of you have studied in your PUC classes, Coulomb's law. It gives the force between 2 charges. So the charges basically are of 2 types. So the law, Coulomb's law, gives the force acting between the 2 charges. So we'll see that in detail again. Next, electric field due to a point charge. Next, electric potential. So electric potential is nothing but the work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to a point. Now the electric potential due to the electric dipole and the system of charges we will be discussing. Then electrical potential energy. Now this work done is stored as the potential energy, and that is called as electrical potential energy due to the electric dipole and the system of charges. So what is electric dipole here? 2 equal and opposite charges separated by a small distance is called as electric dipole. Then we will see equipotential surfaces. Then coming to the capacitors. So capacitor is nothing but 2 conducting plates, charged plates, conductors separated by a dielectric is called as a capacitor. Now what is the effect of the dielectric on the capacitors we will be discussing. Next, combination of the capacitors. Now capacitors we can combine in different ways like series and parallel. So what happens to the equivalence capacitance in the cases of series and parallel combinations we will be seeing. Then energy stored in the capacitor. Now before going through the formulas, here we'll see some important symbols and their names used in the formulas. So F denotes the force, Q charge, lambda is linear charge density, C is capacitance, V is electric potential and E is electric field. The sigma is surface charge density and rho is volume charge density. U is denoted for electric potential energy. R gives the distance, and Q enclosed means charge enclosed by a surface, that is by Q, E and C. Then P denotes the dipole moment. Now coming to the explanation. Coulomb's law. So as I told already, if the 2 charges Q1 and Q2 are separated by a distance r, then the force of attraction or repulsion between them is directly proportional to the product of the charges, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. This is known as inverse square law. So that is F is equal to the proportionality symbol is removed by introducing the constant, that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square into R cap. This R cap gives the unit vector which gives the direction of this vector. So here you can see that the forces are acting. See, in case of equal like charges, the forces are acting away from them, and in case of unlike charges, the forces acting towards each other. That means like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Now coming to electric field. So how can we define electric field? Electric field is the region around the charge in which a unit positive charge will experience a force. So that electric field is given by F is equal to Q into E, or E is equal to F by Q. Next, electric potential. As I told already, electric potential is nothing but the work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to a given point at a distance r in an electric field E. So that we can give it by integrating integral of E dot dr between the limits infinity to r. Then this work done is stored as the potential energy. So potential energy formula U is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 or Qi Qj by Rij. So now that is the formula for the electric field and electric potential. So E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square, and V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. So all these you have already studied in your PUC classes. Just a brief introduction. Next we shall move on to Gauss law. So Gauss law, the statement, it says that the net electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by the surface, or it is the net charge enclosed by the surface divided by epsilon naught. So now the Gauss law is applicable for the closed surfaces. So the electric flux through the closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times, here 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by the surface. So that is phi is equal to line integral of E dot ds, that is equal to Q enclosed, charge enclosed, net charge enclosed divided by epsilon naught. So now electric dipole. So what is an electric dipole? You all know. So it is a nothing but equal and opposite charges separated by a small distance. So electric dipole is nothing but two equal and opposite charges which are separated by a small distance. So if Q is the charge and D is the separation or distance between them, then the electric dipole moment P is given by Q into D. Okay, so electric dipole moment P is given by Q. See here, these are the two equal opposite charges, means one is minus Q, another is plus Q, separated by a distance D. Then the electric dipole moment P is given by P is equal to Q into D. So it is a vector quantity. Electric dipole moment is a vector quantity. It is always directed from the negative charge to the positive charge. Negative charge to the positive charge. So now we'll say electric field due to various charge distributions. So generally we will need different objects like a long conducting wire, a cylinder, a sphere, a hollow sphere, or a ring. So when the questions will be like, they will ask what is the electric field or electric potential on this any particular object of particular shape, a hollow sphere or a cylinder, like that. So in that case you will need the relation between them and the field or potential, how it varies with the distances on the surface, inside the surface, or away from the given surface. So in that case, we should know the formulas, means how it is related and what is the graphical representation of that. So here, if the line charge, linear charge density is lambda, then the electric field outside a cylinder. So cylinder is nothing but, here it is nothing but a long straight conducting wire. You have studied it in theory, if you remember, a long straight conductor of radius r. Outside the, at a distance small r, what is the electric field? It is given by E is equal to lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught r. So here you can see that E is inversely proportional to r, or E is proportional to 1 by r. So that means the shape of the curve will be something like this. Means when smaller values of r, E will be maximum, and for as r increases, E goes on decreasing. So this will be the shape of the curve. So then the electric field on the surface of this conductor, here see, the previous case it was small r, means any distance. Here it is capital R, which is the radius of the cylindrical rod. So here E is equal to lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught into capital R. Similarly, the electric field inside at a distance small r from the axis is lambda r divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into r square. So next, plane sheet of charge. So what is the electric field due to the charge distribution on a surface? So if sigma is the surface charge density, then the field E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught, whereas it is for a charged conducting surface, single surface if you take, then it is E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Here, because the sheet means we consider both sides of the surface, so we will get E equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Here, for the one single surface, E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Now, electric field due to a charged conducting spherical shell. So, a spherical shell is nothing but a hollow sphere. So, here we can have three types of the formulas for three cases: electric field inside the shell, electric field on the surface of the shell, electric field outside the shell. So for inside the shell, E is equal to 0. So that means there is no electric field inside a conducting spherical shell. Means for R values of R less than R, E is equal to 0. Then on the surface, means for value of R equal to capital R, that means the radius, then E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. And for the any point outside the spherical shell, also the formula is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. So that means what here, on the surface as well as above the surface, the electric field formula remains the same. That means for any values R greater than R, see the charge is like, it behaves as if the entire charge is concentrated at the center. So the field is due to the charge at a point. So this formula is same as that electric field due to a point charge, right? So the electric field behaves as same as if the entire charge is concentrated at the center. And here see the graphical representation of that for all values of small r from 0 to capital R, E is equal to 0. Then at R we have the maximum value. Then beyond that the value goes on decreasing as how it varies, E varying inversely proportional to R square. So electric field due to various charge distributions. Now coming to solid sphere. So in case of a solid sphere, here E inside E outside and E on the surface. So you can see that for the values, all values of R less than R, between 0 to capital R, there is a linear variation. See here, E in is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q R by R cube. So here E is directly proportional to R. So here, see, E is directly proportional to R. Therefore, we get this straight line passing through the origin. Then on the surface, when R equal to R, E has a maximum value. Then above the surface, as R increases, value of E goes on decreasing as it is inversely proportional to R square. So this will be the shape of the curve. Hope you all are noting down all these formulas and shapes of the curves, students. Yes. Next, we move on to electric field due to dipole. So again here, for the dipole, we have derived in the theory classes, you might be remembering, we got two cases where the electric field along the axis of the dipole and electric field along the equatorial plane, right? So these are the formulas. For the along the axis, it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 2p cos theta by r cube, and on the equatorial plane, it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught p sin theta by r cube. Now the resultant of these both, see here both are vectors, so we have to take the vector addition. So ER is equal to root of ER square plus E theta square. Like vector addition, you know, a vector A, resultant of two vectors is equal to like A square. If you take A, B, C, three vectors, if A is the resultant of B and C, then A square is equal to B square plus C square. So A is equal to root of B square plus C square. So in the same way, it is the resultant of these two vectors. So ER is equal to root of ER square plus E theta square. And by substituting these values and simplifying, we will get the equation like this. Now this phi gives the direction that is given by tan inverse of tan theta by 2. So we'll move on to the next point, that is electric field due to a charged ring. So if you consider a ring of radius r, then along the axis of the ring, the electric field is given by this formula, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q into x by r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. Here x is any distance, r is the radius of the ring. Then we can have two cases here, if x is less than r and if x is greater than r. So in case when x is less than r means within the ring, inside the ring, x square will be much less than r square. So we can neglect x square here. So it will become r cube. So denominator will become r cube. So E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q into x by r cube. Then for all values x greater than r, x square will be much greater than r square. So here r square can be neglected. We get x cube in the denominator. So there is another x in the numerator. So we will have E equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by x square. Now here you can see that the field will become maximum at a distance r equal to r by root 2. So for small r equal to capital R by root 2, electric field will be maximum. So we'll continue. Now the torque on a dipole. So this, you know, anyway, you have studied in the theory. So torque is equal to P cross E or PE sin theta, and the potential energy of the dipole is given by U is equal to P dot E. So next, electric potential due to various charge distributions. So continuing on a charged ring. So see this kind of ring, charged ring. at the center of the charge ring, electric potential. So now that previous slides we have seen about the electric field. Here it is the expression for electric potential. So electric potential at the center of the charge ring is V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Then on the axis at a distance x from the center, see at a distance, say, take any point P at a distance x from the center, then the potential at this point is given by V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by root of R square plus X square. So next, electric potential due to uniformly charged disk. So this is a disk which is uniformly charged, and the electric potential at different places at a distance x from the center. So you take a point P at a distance x from the center, then the electric potential at this point P is given by, so now here it is what we have to take is the surface charge density, because we are considering the disk. It is the previous one, ring was like it is a hollow, right? Only that was a ring, inside there was nothing. So now it is a disk, so we are considering the surface charge density. So sigma by 2 epsilon naught into root of R square plus X square minus X. Then at the center, so this reduces to sigma R by 2 epsilon naught at a large distance. Means if we take a point at a large distance away from the disk for values x much greater than R, we can simplify it as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by X. Then, so what happens in this case? Here the disk behaves as a point charge. So that we can see that the point charge, again you are getting the potential, the same formula, right? So the entire disk behaves as a point charge. So now at the edge of the disk, if you are going to calculate the potential at the edge of the disk, here, so V is equal to sigma into R by epsilon naught. So for the edge, we are taking the R, that is capital R, that is the radius of the disk. So V is equal to sigma R by epsilon naught. So now electric potential due to a spherical shell. So you have seen electric field due to the spherical shell. Here it is the electric potential. So for the spherical shell, V inside the spherical shell is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R, and outside that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by small r. So here it is capital R, that is the radius of the shell, and small r, this r is any distance outside the shell. So here the graphical representation, again this is important. You can see that here the potential remains constant. See here, V is equal to, see capital R, right? It is having, means that R is constant here. What is R? It is the radius of the shell, right? So V is constant from 0 to R, means within the shell, from the center up to the surface, potential remains constant. So you get this straight line. Then outside the shell, it varies with the inversely with the distance. So Q by R you have. So the proportionality, so V is proportional to 1 by R. Therefore, you get this part of the curve. So this is the graphical representation for the electric potential due to a spherical shell. So we'll move on to next type of object, that is non-conducting sphere. So in case of a sphere, V inside the sphere is given by the formula, say 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R into 3 by 2 minus R square by 2 R square. So we are not going to the derivation of all this. We are just looking at the formulas and how it varies, how the variation of V. So that you can see that the variation is represented by the shape of the curve from 0 to R. Okay. So unlike in case of shell, here it is a sphere, so there is a variation is different. Then on the surface, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r. Again, it is same as for the spherical shell, and outside again it is same 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r as the spherical shell. Only for the values inside the spherical shell and the sphere, the variation is different. So you can see the difference in the shape of the graphs for these two cases. Hope you are noting down, students. Yes. Now moving on to the capacitors. So as I told already, capacitors is nothing but parallel plate conductors, two charged conductors separated by a dielectric. So two charged conductors separated by a dielectric medium. So dielectric means what? It is a non-conducting medium. So dielectric means it is a non-conducting medium. So in this case, what happens? The capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor C is equal to epsilon naught A by D. So epsilon naught A by D. So where A is the area of the parallel plate capacitor and D is the separation between the two plates of the capacitor. The voltage across the capacitor. So the formula for voltage across the capacitor is equal to Q by C. So where Q is the charged enclosed and charge on the plates of the capacitor, and C is the capacitance when V is equal to Q by C. So now if a dielectric is placed inside the capacitor, so here dielectric means actually we consider the air medium between the plates of the capacitor. Okay, then we have this epsilon naught. Okay, so permittivity of free space. If any other dielectric medium other than air is included inside the capacitor between the plates of the capacitor, then the field, the potential, voltage and the force all vary. Okay, so how it varies? Like if K, what is this K? This is the dielectric constant of the dielectric medium. So which medium we are using? The dielectric constant of the medium, that is K. So in that case, E is equal to E naught, that is the value in case of air medium, by K, means the field or the voltage both decrease by a term 1 by K. So both are reduced. Okay, so energy stored and the voltage across the capacitor decreases when a dielectric is introduced in between the plates of the capacitor other than air medium. So why this decreases is because when the dielectric is introduced, it generates its own electric field which will reduce the effect on the plates of the capacitor. So that is why the field will be in a direction opposite to that, the field which is actually present. So there will be a reduction in the voltage as well as the field. Yes. Now coming to the combination of the capacitors. So we can combine a number of capacitors in two different ways, series and parallel. So elements in series, if we take the more than one capacitors in series, then the equivalent of the combination, that means the single value of the capacitor with which we can replace the combination is given by 1 by C is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. That means the reciprocal of the equivalent capacitance is equal to sum of the reciprocals of the individual capacitors. And here we are giving you a comparative comparison between the case of radius. Okay, so here the resistance. In case of resistance, we have R is equal to R1 plus R2. In case of capacitors, we have the reciprocals are added. Similarly, for the parallel combination, in case of capacitors, we will be adding the individual capacitors. In case of resistors, it is the reciprocal of the individual capacitors. Sum of reciprocals of the individual capacitors gives the reciprocal of the equivalent capacitance. So we'll continue this in the next session. Students, hope you have understood, and I think you have any doubts, you just put a message in the chat section. Okay, we will get back to you. And now I'll close the session and we'll be rejoining for a next session after few minutes.